the workshop. We're going right back into this jacket. Now, we've already finished the sleeves. So what we're going to do is roll those up. I want to cover the whole collar in our silver satin so it matches the lapel. So I have our jacket laid out here and we're going to measure this. One, I need the tip of the neck to where it sits at the collar. Then I need where the collar sits down. The height of our collar is 3 1/4 inch. So I'm going to mark that all the way down our paper. Make sure that the lines on your board match up with the lines exactly on the top of the paper and your ruler. Now you take your yardstick and you draw a line that matches up with each one of our dots. I'm going to pick a spot somewhere approximately in the center of my pattern and draw a nice even line from the top to the bottom. What this line is going to allow us to do is make a symmetrical pattern. We are going to take the measurements of the top of the neck. We'll use those. That's 15 inches. Divide that in half. That's going to be 7.5 inches marked out on each side of this center line. We'll do the same for the bottom. If I've done this correctly, we should have a 3.5 inch line between the top and bottom of our neck. And guess what? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh, I love it. The last thing to do is take your ruler and add 1 inch in all directions, except for the top of the neck. The length between the collar and the arch is 9 1/4 inch. So I'm going to mark that on our paper. That way we know how much room we have to sketch out the design for our lapel. Now that we have our sketch drawn and we kind of know where we want to go with things, we need to go back with our ruler and make sure all the lines that we sketched out of pencil are straight. Last thing with this is to go in and add our 1 inch seam allowance. We're also going to be following the lapel with a hem along the length of the jacket to the bottom. That way it ties the lapel into the rest of the jacket since they are different colors. Now that we have all of our patterns made, we need to cut the zippers out of this whole thing. When I folded my silver fabric in half, it is slightly longer than the hem that I need to run from the center to the bottom of the jacket. So what I'm going to do is use little clips. I'm going to clip the top so it stays exactly where it needs to be and on the side. And then I'm going to measure out 3 inches worth of fabric. The reason I'm using so much is because we need to make sure that we fold it under, iron it, and give ourselves plenty of space to run a nice hem along that bottom. This is when an iron is going to come in very useful. Not only is the fabric wrinkly, but when you put your patterns against this solid edge, you really need it to be solid. So I'm going to go through and iron all of the area that I'm working with currently and put a nice edge here. Do you remember when I said that we were going to add a 1-inch seam allowance to everything except for the top of the neck of our collar? That's because I'm putting that neck side right at the edge of my material, okay? So when I cut this, it will be doubled. It's going to be doubled. Now we need to iron the rest of the fabric so we have proper placement for the pattern for the lapels. We can also leave our yardstick here just in case to make sure it's extra super straight. Now we're going to go through and iron down all of our seam allowances. The first one we're going to do is going to be a little bit different because these are the hems for the arch from the side to the bottom. So we're going to fold these in half and iron them and then fold them under for the seam allowance. Now that we have that ironed in half, we're going to flip it so the shiny side is out. And then we're just going to fold the edges to the center and iron those down. My measuring board was not enjoying the heat of the iron. It was starting to warp a little bit, so we put down a hand towel. We've got most of this jacket done. Everything is ironed out and ready to be sewn on tomorrow. So I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope all the wonderful things that you're wishing to happen come to you. And I will see you next time.